Most of us were damaged by going door-to-door ministry. They were hoping the person would not hear them.
That was a Saturday morning for all of us. Feeling that dread before we knock on the door, then the relief when nobody answered the door. And then we would feel guilty, right? Because you weren't supposed to feel relieved. You see, that's not a personality flaw. That's actually our mind being trained by the organization. And today we're talking about how to unlearn it with Jack and Sarah. Even after we leave the organization physically, some of us can still think and act and make decisions like we are still witnesses. So,
For sure.
What does it take, Jack, to create that mind shift so that when we leave, we can start living more authentically?
Most of us were damaged, I think, the most by going door-to-door ministry, where most people didn't want people to be home. They knocked so quietly that they were hoping the person would not hear them, right? They wanted to be rejected. They just did territories. They completely didn't focus on results. They just wanted to, check off the box. Oh, yeah, the territory is done. I did so many hours and I'm all happy. And whether I brought somebody into the organization or not was completely irrelevant, right? And then you go into a job and you go into your world and you might have the same mindset that you have to do hours and you have to self-sacrifice yourself and you enjoy being rejected and you just say, no, I've tried really hard. And you're hoping that people will appreciate you for your effort. Well, in the real world, nobody cares about your effort. In the real world, everybody cares about the results that you're bringing to the table. And in the JW world, the results, if you brought to the table and you show that, yeah, I brought some good results, then automatically they would say, oh, you must be humble, brother. You do not bring any attention to yourself. All the glory goes to the one above. So that mindset is still with us. We leave, we think, oh, I don't deserve any credit. I should not bring attention to myself. I will self-sabotage any success because I don't want to be judged by others. Many times JW is compared to Titanic. Like, this world is like Titanic. Why would you work on making this ship beautiful if you know it's going to sink? And ExJWs have a hard time now leaving this organization and thinking something that I viewed as a waste, something that I viewed as, oh, it's all in vain. Now I got to put my effort to it, right? It's a different mind shift. So to break free from this, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes help from others who went through it, so you could see the path, right? There's in NLP, there's a process of called pre-framing, deframing, and reframing, when you unlock the locks in your mind, what was blocking you, and how you can shift this. And then you become more and more authentic yourself.
Thank you, Jack. And I'm glad you touched on some of the NLP terminology because it was in real time. You helped an ExJW at our conference last year to kind of help him with some of his behavior and thinking. Mm-hmm. And Sarah, you were actually at that session last year. You were our MC, you did a fabulous job, and you also experienced Jack's coaching session with this ExJW. So my question to you, what was that experience like and what did you take away from it?
Oh man, it was so profound. And this young gentleman, I just remember him being so sincere, and he courageously volunteered, right, to share his story and his struggle with a workplace problem. And he was struggling with the way someone at work was making him feel like he was insignificant or his thoughts didn't matter. And I think all of us as Jehovah's Witnesses can relate to probably feeling insignificant and like we don't matter, right? Especially depending on where we were placed in the congregation or what position we held or didn't hold. And what I saw in the NLP demonstration was Jack's walking him through that pre-programming, deprogramming, post-programming method. And he did this through visualization. So it allowed him to relive that experience a few times until it felt lighter and lighter. And it changed the way he saw himself, because that was the important part, was his mindset and his perception of himself. This young man felt so much lighter.
If this is resonating with you, my friends, well, this is exactly the type of work we're teaching at the free online ExJW Professionals Conference, September 12th and 13th. Come invest in your mindset because you don't have to do the reprogramming by yourself. There was one mindset shift, Jack, that you wish every ExJW could make. What would that be?
As JWs, we had such a strong purpose. No matter what we did, it mattered. You go clean the washroom and Jehovah sees this, right? You go door to door and nobody want to talk to you, but the angels could see it, right? So the purpose to the smallest things that we did was so great that almost everything outside seemed so insignificant. And that, I think, is the biggest thing that needs to change, because Jehovah's Witnesses were constantly taught to play small, play safe and play small. And that doesn't serve anybody, because you're always playing safe, you're always playing small, you're not contributing much to this world. But when you start growing, and by growing, it's you expand your mindset, you expand your skills, and the more of a person that you become, the more skillful you become, the more you can give. It's this fear of, if I focus on myself, then I'm selfish. It's the opposite. The more you focus on yourself to become somebody better, the more you can give and contribute. So there will be people who will actually suffer because you don't want to grow. And that mindset will shift if you see that, oh, you know what, maybe I have certain gifts that can serve others.
So always remember, my friends, to own your story, own your power, and live your truth.